Well, howdy ho, good neighbor. I just wanted to tell you that the homeless are at the school. They're right in front of the school. Now, I tell you what, there's not a lot of easy answers for this homeless problem. I tell you what. But right in front of the school where the kids can't even walk down the sidewalk, well, something's not right about that. But people are tired of this problem, and the government is not doing anything. They're facilitating the problem. Now, I think people should do more. People should help the homeless. They just complain about it. But what you're about to watch is the next video about people saying, not in my backyard. Noomies, not in my backyard. Or NIMBYs. Yeah, NIMBYs, not in my backyard. People don't want homeless in their backyard. But we need them somewhere. Let's give them a spot to go to. But not in my backyard. That is a new phrase that everybody's saying. Watch this newscast and tell me what you think. Peace. I said peace.
People in an Oakland neighborhood are fed up with a growing homeless encampment backed right up to their property.
Yeah, they say that encampment, which is also across the street from the school, is a safety threat. They've written city officials and they are demanding action. Now, one Oakland City Council member is supporting them in their fight.
KTV's Paul Chambers joins us now from the newsroom with more on this growing frustration. Paul.
Alex, Heather, Councilmember Noel Gallo wrote the mayor and city administrator an email about the East Oakland encampment that he and others are calling a health and safety concern. The row of tents is within a safety school zone, and according to Gallo, Oakland is in violation of city ordinances and state laws by allowing the encampment to stay put. For some, it's an eyesore. Yet another homeless encampment in Oakland. However, for people living on the streets, it's all they have.
We have no other place to go. We don't need to, the hassle of being ostracized and looked at like we're just homeless bums, because we're not.
More than a dozen tents and abandoned vehicles sit along Bond Street between 42nd Avenue and High Street in East Oakland. Although this encampment is home for some, it's become a growing problem for residents one block over. This is what they see from their yard.
We pay property taxes, yet we're not even safe in our backyards.
For fear of retaliation, Jane asked we not show her face. She says neighbors are fed up with the activity of some of the homeless, including sexual acts in their yards.
They do drugs. We believe they're even doing prostitution. They come to the neighbors' homes, the vandalized property. Children can't even walk to school without being harassed.
Right across the street from the encampment is Oakland Charter Academy. School officials have reached out to the city expressing their concerns for the safety of the students. This letter from the principal says, "We are truly concerned about the safety of our students due to the horrible unsanitary drug infestation. Oftentimes, students are forced to walk in the middle of the street due to trash and dumping along the sidewalk. Parents have expressed their frustration and have threatened to remove their students from the school." One person living in a tent says they're not a threat to the students.
My wife, she turns around, she walks the kids to school. She makes sure they get across the street, make sure they don't get hit by cars.
Councilmember Noel Gallo represents this area, and he says there's drug paraphernalia and fecal matter in and around the encampment. City officials say they will do a deep cleaning of the area next week and will start weekly trash pickup and install portable toilets, which residents say isn't going to work.
That's not okay, because that's basically signaling, okay, this is a place where we can stay. That's not going to solve the issue of them leaving.
Now, Gallo said neighbors are considering taking legal action against the city of Oakland because the city isn't enforcing state laws and city ordinance.
All right. Thanks so much, Paul Chambers, in our newsroom.
Park in Alameda County has become home to a large homeless encampment that just keeps growing. 9B's Kristen Ayers explains why the city can't do anything about it. Kristen?
For years, this park in Oakland's East Peralta neighborhood has been a haven for the homeless. But recently, the number of occupants here has jumped, and we found out the city of Oakland can no longer legally clean this encampment up. It's prime real estate on Oakland's waterfront with a view across the bay to San Francisco. But Union Point Park is also host to a sprawling homeless encampment that seems to be spreading by the day.
It doesn't look pretty. It's definitely an eyesore. And then all the trash by the garbage can.
Dawn Orthmeyer has been living in one section of the park or another for the past 5.5 years. She says she's worked closely with city officials on safety and sanitation.
We try to keep it clean. We try to keep people here from stealing from one another.
But the population has swelled with people living in RVs. Some threatened to move here after the city cracked down on RV dwellers near a Home Depot in Oakland last July. Earlier this year, Dawn says some of the people living in the RVs took legal action. In court records, they claimed the city of Oakland's cleanup procedures are unconstitutional and received a temporary restraining order against the city.
Which tied our hands. It basically precluded us from doing our normal cleanup operations that we would like to execute there.
So the trash keeps piling up. Earlier this year, environmentalists wrote the city an open letter complaining of vandalism, graffiti, prostitution, drug use, dumping of waste, and fires in the park. Dawn says she's opposed to the restraining order.
I would want to work with the city. I mean, it's a place I live. Why would I want to go against it? That's not what you do.
Until that federal litigation is resolved, there's really nothing we can do. And it is frustrating because it's a growing problem.
Both the city and the plaintiffs in the restraining order will be back in federal court for another hearing tomorrow. In Oakland, Kristen Ayers on the Night Beat.
Of shame in LA. It's a question so many people keep asking. But one man with a drone says it's the city that's to blame for the encampments that keep popping up. And he's giving us this bird's eye view of the mess. NBC4's John Caddy's Klimak is live in Lake Balboa Park. John.
It was a few weeks ago, Carolyn, where we brought you here. We showed you the line of shopping carts full of garbage over here. There's only one left here now. It was cleaned up the very next day. But it was partly that story that led a Tarzana man to wonder where those shopping carts came from. And he went to look beyond the fencing here to see what he could see, and now you get to see it too.
It's just encampment after encampment.
You can't see this from Balboa Boulevard, but the area is widespread near the park.
It's, encampments of 20 plus, 30 plus tents, chop shops for bikes. It's a little scary just to kind of even see from the air. Yeah, it's their home, I guess, but it's not right.
Johnny Perez shot this drone video and shared it in the hopes that, as he says, the squeaky wheel will get the grease.
You get a group of people to get really angry and pissed off at your council members, and they'll do something.
We first spotted his work when he posted this video to Facebook last week. A sprawling encampment near the Northridge Mall that sits above the LA River. And down below, trash that teeters on a health hazard.
I can see the trash from the air, but I don't know what's in there. I can only imagine it's whatever they produce, right? I mean, people use the restroom. I'm sure there's drug use. That same Chatsworth wash connects with the river over by Griffith Park, which is what the mayor was promoting for kayaking and stuff like that. It's the same river, man. I don't want to go kayaking.
And here's a third location. This one just off the 405, north of Burbank Boulevard. Coincidentally, the NBC4 I-Team has had its eye on this spot for more than a month, and the growing trash pile the city has yet to clean up.
The regular people and the taxpayers are losing.
Perez says it's the reason he started Dying California on social media platforms. From his vantage point, he says the solution is more simple than anyone is letting on.
Just enforce the laws, enforce parking laws, enforce vehicle dwelling laws, enforce the trash, the littering, just irritate them. And eventually they'll go somewhere else or they'll stop.
Back live here, I want to point out once again that the day after we showed you that story where all these shopping carts were here, the very next day the Bureau of Sanitation came out, cleared all the shopping carts. There were 31 of them at the time. Syringe needles found there as well. What we found out about this story, those 3 different places that we showed you that drone footage, the Bureau of Sanitation points the finger at the Army Corps of Engineers, Metro, and the Departments of Park and Recreation. But tonight, we do not know if any of those places are on any schedule to get cleaned up. Reporting live in Lake Balboa, I'm John Caddy's Klimak, NBC4 News.
Well, there you go. The homeless are suing the city. They're suing the city for disturbing their quality of life. So I hope you got some more tax money because the city is getting sued by the homeless. What a world we live in.